All right, so the time is 2:05, so we will get started today. Thank you everyone for joining us for the first in an all-new series of learning opportunities from the IWSCC. My name is Alex Duerksen. I'm the Community Development Manager for the IWSCC, or the Inclusive Workplace and Supply Council of Canada. For folks who are joining us today who might not know about IWSCC, we're Canada's national certifying body for veteran-owned and disabled-owned businesses. And we connect our community with opportunities, with large purchasers, with each other, and support through advocacy, research, and awareness efforts across Canada. I'm so thrilled to have everyone here today. Please be advised that this webinar also does include some accessibility features, including ASL interpretation in English, supplied by Maple Communications Canada, and supported by our wonderful 2024 accessibility sponsors, Bell Canada and RBC. Without further ado, that's my little intro, but I'd love to jump right into this great learning opportunity during Small Business Week. I hope that everyone's Small Business Week has been full of new and exciting learning opportunities like this one, new opportunities to network and so on. Thanks so much for joining us. And I'll pass things off to our wonderful host. Our guests and our subject matter experts today are an award-winning, sustainable and certified women-owned Canadian business. They build responsible AI that empowers and supports humans rather than taking away that human touch. In October 2024, they were the proud recipient of the 2024 Bank of Montreal Deloitte Canada Women in Business Award. They're a 100% certified sustainable organization that creates and supports digital supply chains. They're 100% certified women-owned by We Connect International. They were nominated in 2023 for the Trailblazer Award due to their work in responsible AI and automation. And they're funded by Global Affairs Canada to demonstrate their solutions globally, not just here in Canada. So without further ado, I'd love to pass things off to our wonderful guest, the Head of Solutions Architecture at WACADs Group Inc., Liz Cripps. Liz, thanks so much for joining us today and for sharing your knowledge.
Well, thank you so much, Alex, for having me. It is definitely a pleasure here. And I'd also like to thank Valerie, as well as Bell and RBC for sponsoring this event. It's always wonderful to connect with the folks that use services and can, learn and grow from these types of interactions. So as well, thank you to all of you for joining. It is a Thursday afternoon. I am in a very warm and sunny Ottawa, which is a great and beautiful Canadian city to be in, our nation's capital. So I think it is very fitting that we would be meeting with you today through this council and this opportunity to talk about, really is a burning topic, responsible AI. And what does that mean? What is artificial intelligence? There's also a lot of discussion around sustainability, and the two actually go hand in hand. So we're going to spend some time talking and learning from one another and sharing information. And there will be a portion at the end of the call where you can post questions in the chat, and we can respond to those. So there's a lot of talk, as I mentioned, around this concept of responsible AI and the sustainable path, which it is to the human hybrid workforce. So I'm going to share a little bit about our organization. We essentially help companies grow and scale rapidly using smart technology. So we are a smart technology. We focus on the responsible use of those technologies. So things like artificial intelligence, automation, custom application development, computer vision, geothermal, all of these types of fun, interactive, digital twinning types of technologies that are currently being used worldwide to help businesses grow and scale rapidly. In terms of the industries that we serve, we are in real estate and construction, transportation and logistics, and education and training. So we are, as Alex mentioned, very proudly a woman-owned, certified woman-owned business through We Connect International. We are also supported by Digital Main Street, which is a provincially funded program. Some of you may be familiar with like CDAP, which is the Canada Digital Adoption Program, as well as the COJG, which is the Canada Ontario Job Grant. So our organization is, supported by them and able to offer services for those programs, not only in Ontario, but across the country. So far as our background, we have our certification in sustainability, a background in project management. So everything we do is using the project management best-in-class solutions and processes, background in business analysis, as well as a black belt in Six Sigma, and UiPath with robotic process automation. So we're very much a data-driven organization. We believe fundamentally anything that is built should relate back to a particular data point, and that's how organizations actually grow, because we can measure the effectiveness of the solutions that we are designing. In terms of our leadership team, I am a very people-centric person, so super excited to present our team. Of course, myself, but more importantly, supported by George. George runs our numbers. He's our controller. He makes sure everybody is taken care of, and he does an absolutely wonderful job. We are so grateful to him. And as well, Mary Ellen, whom represents us in our US operations, and she honestly does so much more. I have a fantastic leadership team, and I love to take any moment I can to recognize those that support us. From a readiness and implementation perspective, we have Momita and Rishi and Raman. They're sort of our heads of some of our core departments insofar as AI engineering and automation and data. But that's not to be forgotten by other departmental heads like Jerry that does DevOps, or Marquise and Stefan, and those that provide support in other areas of the business, just like Allison and Aaliyah help us in special projects and development. And of course, these individuals are supported by other folks that do a lot of the heavy lifting in the background. And so when we talk about being a smart technology company, there are some key things that we provide. One would be around data validation and governance. So if we were to imagine a medium size or even a really large scale company, we think about like point of sale material. Someone goes in, they make a purchase, and then the company has the ability to say, product A was sold on this date and this time. Well, was it hot? Was it cold? Was it in the GTA? Was it in BC? So we start to look at and see all of the patterns of the data. It's one thing to see patterns in data. It's another thing to just have different patterns of data put together. So we want to combine the data, we want to amalgamate it, and we want to validate it so that the structure of it, if it's like day, month, year, it's the same day, month, year in every table. Large companies, medium companies, all of us have scads of data that we're collecting. And the validation process, which we would call in development, the normalization process, is very important, as well as governance. When we create a new table in our company that's going to collect data, what should the structure of that table be? That's also something that is absolutely fundamental. In fact, without data validation, like normalization and governance, it's almost impossible to build like AI-based systems, because they are very data-centric and AI and data-driven. So as mentioned, we build AI solutions, and we do that right from Python coding. We're not using, ChatGPT, although it is a fantastic tool. We don't do that. We actually look at the foundational models, and we adjust those models using coding, and we create guardrails so that those models can reflect the business and share their experiences in a very secure, encrypted format that reduces and almost eliminates, frankly, the opportunity for hallucinations. So those are the type of human-centric types of machines that we build from an AI and automation perspective. And of course, as you can imagine, prompt engineering. So once you build a machine, sometimes folks are saying, how do I use this? What's the best way of going about it? And that's where we work with them in understanding how to build the prompts and put all of the information in there. Machine learning, which we're going to talk about, and game production. Game production is an absolutely phenomenal tool that can be used in academic environments, as well as many others, to help individuals understand environments and interact with environments. And it's actually very well used in the real estate and construction industry to help people have those experiences. And then custom development and website design, and as well system interaction and integration. System integration is basically where you're combining two systems so they speak to one another. And in today's market, where there are so many systems that play, it's very important that we are, one, reducing rework, so the need to rekey in the same information over and over. And we're also eliminating duplication of systems. So system integration is a great way of doing that and creating a very seamless customer experience. So why transform? You know, like everyone's kind of talking about it right now. I'm certain if you went over to IG or Google and you put in, what is AI? Everyone's talking about it. Should I use it? Shouldn't I use it? And there's a lot that's kind of happening that is positive. There's a ton that's happening that's positive, but there's always sort of that undercurrent of uncertainty. And really, when we get mired or stuck in that undercurrent of uncertainty, it kind of holds us back. And so what I'd like to do today is spend a bit of time talking to you about how folks are using AI responsibly, how they're using automation responsibly and other smart technologies to blow past their competition so that they can grow and scale. But more importantly, how are they using this in a human-centric way? How are they using this and sharing it in a sustainable way? 2026 was the year that we were talking about. I say were for a reason, and you'll come to understand that in a second. So before the ChatGPT, came out in September 2021, everybody was saying, this human hybrid workforce, this is happening. 2026 is going to be the breakthrough year, and humans and computers are going to work together in harmony. It's going to be wonderful. So the development community, everyone's rallying around it, and businesses, a lot of businesses were already doing automation. In fact, 20 years ago, I worked for Cisco Systems, and we used a program called Oracle. And Oracle was an automation-based ERP system that allowed us to do many of the things that folks are doing now. So if we rewind that 20 years ago, we know that those systems have been in play, and we know how huge brands have come to be because they've been using automation. It's really since, what we call the big sleep that it's become more of a mainstream topic, this idea of AI and automation. But of course, there have been some advancements that come with it. And we'll talk about the Gen AI component. But the main takeaway here is that it's no longer 2026. It actually started happening like years ago. It's here, it's now, it's happening now. And it's so important that we all understand what it means for our businesses and what it can actually do for us in terms of growth and development. 85% of the world's population has a smartphone. So let's all just take a second back. I remember a time when, smartphones were newer. Now the variety of smartphones is absolutely incredible. But when we talk about the global population, we're literally talking about the billions of people that are out there that are logging on to a phone in order to consume information. So I don't know about you, I have an iPhone, family members have a Google phone, an Android device, and there are tons of apps. There are tons of ways for individuals to consume and receive information. And that's fundamentally key to your business. What is your business strategy? Does your business strategy include a mobile device? Or are you solely relying on desktop as a means of communication? If you have a platform that your staff are using, can they use it on their mobile? Right? Can your customers get to you on their mobile device? If right now you're thinking about that and your answer is well, sometimes, then recognize that you're missing out on that huge global community of individuals that want to experience your products. People want to use these phones. They're like computers in our pockets. And when we don't have things that are mobile ready, we are taking away opportunities to help other people and to serve them with the products that we provide and to serve them with the knowledge that we could potentially share. So, always keep that in mind in your strategy and your marketing strategy and your development strategy, that everybody nowadays is using a mobile phone, regardless of their geographic location. That is one of the primary devices that is being used. So automation it's everywhere, really. Many folks don't even realize how far automation has come. Like I said, I was using it many years ago, and automation, think of it as like elevated thinking. So 97 million new higher paying jobs. When we talk about higher paying jobs, we talk about the type of jobs that you would have wanted when you were coming out of high school or university or college, where you actually got to think about what you did. You weren't just keying in information or reading spreadsheets, you were actually getting to sink into your noggin and come up with some ideas, a strategy, and then share that with your supervisor or your boss on what your interpretation of the data means. Folks, we're finally here. Automation allows us to do that, and AI allows us to do that. 97 million new positions are created, and that number is growing exponentially year over year. The opportunity to think and add expertise in our jobs is something that many people crave. And so when we put our arms around automation, we're saying that we're welcoming that and we're giving our staff an opportunity to do that. 85% of global companies are already doing a digital transformation plan. They're thinking about this whole shift to mobile and how they can provide mobile service delivery, how they can provide digital service delivery. So instead of having paper copies of forms, how can we give it to somebody digitally? This is a huge question. Instead of just receiving tons of paper, we think about sustainability, we think about our planet. How can we save some of the trees? How can we reduce the number of indirect costs that are associated with moving physical, tangible product around the world? If it's possible, how can we use digital replicas to help us do that? So I want you to think for a second about automation and what it means. So I don't know about you, but I work about 6 days a week. And for my 6 days a week, I think it's give or take, fair to say that we spend about a minimum of 2 hours a day doing paperwork. I like to be conservative. So let's say that the average business spends 2 hours a day doing paperwork. If you're working roughly 6 days a week, that works out to 12 hours a week, just doing some type of paperwork, filling out a form, filling something out in Excel, looking at numbers, sending emails, responding to different folks, getting back in text message, looking in different databases, collating information. I think you'd all agree that 2 hours is quite conservative. And so at 12 hours a week, that's 48 hours minimum a month that an individual will save. So I think, okay, Liz, 48 hours in a month, what would I do with that time? Well, in our business, we have discovery calls where we get the opportunity to learn about other businesses. And those discovery calls are approximately 30 minutes. So that would mean that I could have 96 additional discovery calls a week just by having an automated system doing 2 hours of that mundane work for me. So 96 new calls a month. If my conversion rate on that is 10%, that's 9.8. So let's just say nine new clients a month. That is over 100 new clients a year. Let's just think about that. What would you do if you had 100 new clients a year? Like, this isn't a lofty idea. This is the reality. So when we use automation, not only does it give us the opportunity to do things quicker and allow us to elevate our thinking, but it also puts money in our pocket. It increases our opportunity cost. And for all of us that are managers or business owners or supervisors or vice presidents or directors, at the end of the day, the business is going to ask the question, how profitable are we? That profitability directly relates to how we spend our time. And so when we can use automation to reduce the amount of time that people spend doing things, and we can put that bucket of time into thinking about things and reaching out and engaging with our customers, that business is more profitable. So I want you to just kind of think about that and how that can help you. So there are 4 types of automations. Many of us are familiar with what you would hear some folks say MarCom or MarTech. It's basically marketing automation where you're sending out emails to people, you're sending out SMS messages. There's a few caveats, a couple things that we all have to keep in mind. Be on message. So if you just have a list of people, first and foremost, let's make sure that we're compliant with GDPR. And these people have actually said that they want to hear from us, right? So that's our first tick. We don't want to be spamming anybody. The second thing is be intentional. Like, just don't send out a message that says, hey, our business does that. We'd love to connect with you. People want value. They want to understand, what value can your business bring to them? But if your entire email sounds like a sales pitch, they're not receiving value. They're not seeing how you're of service. They're seeing that you want to sell them. And when's the last time you went into a store and someone actually sold to you, right? It doesn't feel good. You don't feel like you want to follow up on that message. And so you'll hear folks say, marketing automation doesn't work. Well, no, marketing automation works when we are intentional about our messages and when we target the individuals who can most benefit from the services we provide. Many businesses are industry agnostic, meaning that it doesn't matter who or what the industry is, they can use the service. Some people would say that of AI. Liz, in your business, anybody can use your business. And that's true. However, we have core industries that we focus on that we believe will receive the most amount of value and benefit. So think about that when you're doing your marketing automation to get the most bang, to get the most from that automation experience. Make sure that you're going to your target customers with a message that is service driven, value driven, and actually helps them. Nobody wants to be sold to, and that will propel you forward. Accounting and bookkeeping. I am not an accountant. Like I said, I am so happy to have George by my side, and we use automation in accounting. There are ways to receive data into your system. And in fact, there are a lot of systems out there that have automated capabilities and ways of connecting other systems, because the idea is to take the focus off of the process of the data, getting from the sale into your bookkeeping system, to understanding the data, looking at those key performance indicators, looking at what your profitability is, looking at what your margins are, looking at your expenses, what's your P&L. These are the things as business owners that we need to be focusing on. But when we're spending a lot of time trying to get the data from Excel or some other program into the bookkeeping by manually processing it, our mind share is then shifted to a task that takes away from our ability to be strategic. So accounting and bookkeeping automation could be honestly your best friend. It is an absolutely essential tool in every business. Now, this is a topic that's kind of near and dear to my heart. I absolutely love process automation. Process automation speaks to businesses on so many levels. It has everything to do with sustainability, okay? And when we talk about sustainability in supply chains, the way to think about it is the way your product gets from A to B. What is the process? So is there a way to reduce the number of hoops that your customers or your suppliers need to jump through in order to receive your product? And when we look at a business being a certified sustainable organization, we look at how can we take out the unnecessary touch points that are going to inhibit a customer or a supplier from either providing us with value or with us providing our end customers with value. Process automation also says we have a standard way of doing something. We've been running our business for N number of time, X number, and it works. So why try to fix what's not broken? In process automation, all we're doing is continuing to run that process over and over. And then we know with a degree of certainty what the outcome is going to be. And then we can act accordingly and or make adjustments if we need to. So it is from an operational efficiency perspective, a process automation is fundamental to the back office. A lot of companies focus on the front office, which is the sales. And then they bring the customer on and they see that the drop-off rate, is low. And they're wondering what is happening? Why are people dropping off? Chances are It's on the operational side of things, how we're communicating with people after the sale, and tools like process automation can help us alleviate that. HR automation is exactly as it sounds. You hire an individual to come to your company. There are forms they need to fill. You may have quizzes that they need to fill out. You may want to teach them, of course, right? I want to teach you about my products and services. And so they watch videos, and then you get to ask them. And through their experience, you learn what they've learned, or you figure out how you can support them in their development. Well, in an HR automated system, it does all of that. It supports the HR professional. So always in the systems that we build, we're trying to build systems that are supporting individuals. We're not replacing anyone, because you need that human to put the data in. We need the human to process the information. We need the human to understand and provide context to what is being put in there. So from an HR automation perspective, just a wonderful opportunity to provide additional depth and resource to our HR professionals. So AI and automation, I've been talking about that. I mean, everybody, it's kind of like there's like a huge buzz out there. And really what I wanted you guys to take away from this whole slide, and really this whole concept of what is happening out there in the market and how businesses are changing worldwide, is how we even got here. Often when folks push back on a concept, it's because we don't understand, you know? And when we understand, it's easy for us to make smart, healthy business decisions. So let's just take one step back to take a step forward. Machine learning. Machine learning has been out there way back, many years, many decades now. And basically what machine learning says is it's just going to classify information. So imagine if on your table you had pictures of dogs and pictures of cats. We're going to train a machine to say, what does the dog look like? If I ask you about a dog, what does it look like? So we train it, right? And it classifies, these are dogs, these are cats. And that's based on a series of characteristics that we have defined. So then it can actually recognize these images and say, dog, cat, nope, that's a squirrel. And then we add in, yep, these are pictures of squirrels. And now we're going to show you chipmunks. And so it starts to understand how these images are classified, or how the data is classified in different segments. Then we bump up into deep learning, which there's a lot of terminology around this. You hear people say like neural networks and all this, and it sounds really, really complicated. And I ask you to maybe think about the Human Genome Project. You know, they said, we're going to understand the human code, and we've broken it down to X number of chromosomes, and this is how the body works. And scientists are trying to figure out how the body works. And we're using these neural networks to understand, and it's all a part of this big sort of basket. Well, when we look at deep learning, it's saying, I want to go beyond classification. And I also want to get more complex. I want to get deeper in my understanding of how all of this data connects. But I don't want to just have 100 tables or 1,000. I want to have like 10,000 tables. I want to have 100,000 tables. So this deep learning experience is taking very large data sets and drawing inferences based on how we put it together and the types of code that we use to bring it together and the questions that we ask. So the big distinguishing criteria between deep learning and generative AI is that in deep learning, we are not prompting as we would in Gen AI, where we ask it a question. In deep learning, we have formulated a question, and we are going to put data together to answer that question. The mind-blowing shift of generative AI is that we can now actually type in a question, and that machine is going to use two key criteria to answer that. One is the generating agent that spawns out all of the words, that if, then, but, makes it a sentence. Think about what makes it a sentence. And the other side of it is the discrimination model. which is basically going to have a bit of reasoning to figure out how we make a sentence based off of the question that's been asked. How do we respond? So folks say, you know, Liz, this is like human-like text like this. AI can understand and do anything. And I say to folks, actually, no, we train these machines. In fact, when GPT-2 came out in September of 2021, it was trained on 300 billion data points, okay? The newest GPT that just came out, 4.5, was trained off of 11 trillion data points. Why is this important? These things are growing, and the way they grow is we feed it. So if, for example, I was building an AI in our team and we're coding it, and we finished that AI at noon today, and then later this afternoon, it's 2 p.m. Eastern in Ontario, and we asked it a question like, you know, how was Alex's afternoon? What is happening at IWSCC? What is happening in Canadian politics? What is happening at Capitol Hill? Based on an event that just occurred, our machine could not answer that because it is only as good as the end date of the data that is put into it. I heard an ad today, and it was on one of those popular channels, and the guy popped up and he said, there's this robot thing and it's taking over everybody. You better jump on board or we're going to get taken over by the robots. And I kind of laughed, not just because of the fear mongering, which I thought was absolutely egregious, but the fact that humans would think that an object that we are feeding, that we are programming, can actually replace us. Like, do we put such a little value on what we contribute as individuals? When we're training a machine in our company, we can put these guardrails in and we can make the machine and mold it into a particular thing. And I'm doing that based off, let's say, my own bias. I want to have a mini Liz and I want to mold a mini Liz machine. However, that machine is not going to reflect the thoughts and feelings of Valerie because I don't know Valerie. I've just met her. And it may also not reflect Alex's feelings, or it may not reflect Natalie's feelings. And when we start missing out on those gaps, we start to learn very quickly that it's not just about replicating one type of individual. It's about many types of people. And so can we do that from a Gen AI perspective? Can we recognize and emulate the behavior of many people to a T? Some people say we can, but in fact, if we don't feed the machine with the data it needs to make that assertion, we actually can't. And so that's why we need the human. No one can replace a human. We are not replaceable. And even if there was a machine that could do that, at some point, someone has to add more data. And that's why we need to stop thinking about AI as something that's going to replace us. We need to think about it as an enabler and a growth service for our business. So, you know, a lot of us use Netflix, 3.5 years to get to 1 million users, right? Facebook, 10 months. Spotify, which I burned up on the car ride here the whole time, 5 months it took to get to 1 million users. ChatGPT took 5 days. Why? Why did ChatGPT take 5 days? It's because it is relevant. It is relevant to our daily lives. Everybody wants to understand, what is this thing that could replace me? The messaging, the fear mongering is so heavy as it relates to generative AI that instead of us thinking, oh, wow, we have this tool, how can we use it responsibly? You have folks out there putting these messages about replacement, which I'm certain all of you right now understand is absolutely ridiculous. We cannot be replaced as a people. We can offer things, and our ability to interact and share information with one another will be augmented, but we cannot be replaced because the machines just don't think and feel. They're programmed. So what would I do with Gen AI? I can do audio recordings. I can write code with it. I can say, you know, I want to write a code that talks about, write me a web page, and I can ask it that question. right? And it's going to spit a bunch of code out. Or I can say, create a picture for me of a bunch of kids smiling, and it's going to give me that, okay? I can also ask it to generate text, but here's the thing to know. If I go to the machine that specializes in code and I ask it to write me an outline for my upcoming webinar, it may not do a great job because it's not programmed to think that way. So when you use these tools, when you use all these different AIs, there's so many, they're all so wonderful. You really want to say, what was this machine designed to output? What is it designed to give my business? And that's when you're going to get the highest rate of return. So if you're using the same machine over and over and you're saying, hey, it's not working, I don't know what's going on, maybe start to look for other machines out there, other AIs that have a specialty, and then leverage that machine to get the desired output because it was trained to do that. Much like in a business, if you own a dry cleaning business and someone comes in the door and they ask you how much it costs to buy the fresh apples, you're going to look at them like they have about 4 heads because you don't sell apples, right? You do dry cleaning. Think of AI as much the same way when you're shopping for the tools that you want to use. So we have an AI. It's a proprietary large language model and system. And basically with our AI, you can ask questions, get answers, and gain context. You can upload data. You can compare that information. I can upload a PowerPoint and I can upload a Word document and I can say, what was the revenue in 2022? And then I'll say, well, what did I say it was in the PowerPoint? It will say in the PowerPoint, you said it was 6.1 million, but in the Word document, you said it was like 10 million. And in the Excel, you said it was 25 million. Liz, what is happening in the business? So the ability to compare information, absolutely fundamental. How fast can it do that? We are talking about split seconds. So when you take a tool like our AI and you match it with a customer experience platform, okay? We call it a customer experience platform because we offer experiences to our clients. Our clients come with a business need, just like your clients come. And then we provide a solution that meets their need. And we take that solution and we inject it with some AI, a tool like mine to help contextualize and understand. And as a result of that, there are business actions or a model or a solution that we've architected to meet their needs. So from an output perspective, if you have a CRM product right now or CXM product that you're using, you're collecting a lot of data. You might be thinking, oh, what am I going to do with this data? Then you're like, I want to do a marketing automation campaign. In your CRM, it may have the capability to leverage AI. You may need to go to a separate tool and type in some prompts to get a general idea of what you want what you're trying to put together. So between your CRM and that AI tool, you're going to have an outcome. It could be a business plan. It could be some high-level thoughts on a marketing campaign. But the biggest thing here to take away, folks, is that what you want to do is fact check that information because the AI isn't trained for your business. It looks at so many. And while the information is relevant, it is still just a machine. We've just only programmed it. And so as a result of that, it's not going to give you 100% of what you want. And then also some of the data could be like a little bit off. Like just think about humans. We make mistakes all the time. And humans program the machine. So there could be a margin of error. So don't take that chance and then just submit it or use it 100%. Look at it, tweak it, mold it so that you get the results that you want. There was a discourse on LinkedIn the other day, and folks were saying that they're going into certain tools and they're typing in their company name. And if you ask enough prompts, you can get information about businesses. And the simple way to avoid that is when you're doing a query or if you're having it reviewed, don't put your company name in there. Don't put your business name in there. Don't put any identifiable information. In fact, I don't know an AI tool that doesn't have a disclaimer at the very top that says, do not add your personal information. Okay. They all say it because it's a data mining tool. right? It's putting information together and it is providing an output. So if you want to avoid things like that, or if you're scared about it, you can still use the tool, but just use it safely so that you don't feel like you're in jeopardy in any way. So like for our responsible AI, someone's going to log in, they're going to initiate a function. They're going to say, I want to change this document, this contract. I want you to tell me the 5 key points about this real estate or asset management contract. And then what I want to do is I want that to come back to me in German and Spanish. And I want it sent immediately to my email. So right when I click the output, that's going to be less than 5 seconds to give me that translated text, answer that question. I'm going to click on the output and I'm going to immediately send an email to myself or text it to somebody else, all within 5 seconds. The efficiency is absolutely incredible that we could gain. Imagine not having to have all of that time discerning contractual information or coming up with these robust marketing campaigns because you're using tools that can help you. But again, I underscore this with responsible and sustainable practices. And so if I'm a sustainable business, like what does this mean? Basically, a sustainable business is a business whose doors remain open. From a profitability perspective, it means that I receive income for services, value-added services that we provide to our clients, okay? From an environmental perspective, sustainable means that I am doing things in the best possible way that it supports society, it supports the environment, and it supports the folks that we interact with, our internal and external stakeholders, right? So the big key here in this sustainable business, especially with the brain drain, and people have always been important, but the big key is retaining your talent. No 2 people are the same, as we all know. And in times like this, when there are, I heard the inflation rate is supposed to be stable and things like this are happening all over the world, not only in our country. When folks are looking at ways to grow their business, we start to pick apart things. Jim didn't do it like Sarah. Sarah didn't do it like Lisa, right? But how is that helping? How is that helping Jim or Sarah or Lisa get better? And then on top of that, there's all this talk about AI. So then you say, you know what? We're going to get some AI tools in here. But when we do that, we're not thinking about the fact that when people hear AI, they think that they're getting laid off. And so as a result, they go to these job search engines, they drop their resume on there, and they start looking for another job. That is not what you want. That is not sustainable. The way we would approach that scenario is to say, you know what, guys? Everybody here is doing a great job. We all complement one another in a bit of a different way. I think that there are ways for us to get things done a bit quicker. How can I help you? How can I use AI responsibly to help you do your job? And they're going to respond. And that's how you retain employees. And that's how they tell their friends, and then their friends want to work with you. Again, this is a brain drain scenario, that economy we're in right now. It is very hard globally to find qualified people that fit your niche business. So when you have folks, let's celebrate them. Let's let them know that no one is perfect, and we are going to give them systems that are going to help them. And then we want to build a resilient supply chain. Again, a resilient supply chain just means that things keep happening, right? Our process, our way of doing business is continuously flowing. That standardized process of moving from A to B, it's the same. Someone goes on the website, they fill out the form, Jennifer gets an email, Jennifer follows up, and then Tommy comes back and books a meeting. If that is your process, it runs every day, all day, the same time. It makes sense. Everybody's on board with it, and everybody knows what they're doing. It's a very cyclical process, and so it works. So that makes it resilient because it's not overly communicated and everybody's dialed in. And when we do that, when we have these resilient, sustainable processes and happy employees, we have an increase in customer loyalty. Why? Because our internal stakeholders, whom are the most important, our staff, the people that allow us to go to market, they are happy. And when they are happy, they turn out the best product. And that's what you want for your business. Because when you turn out the best product, your customers get the most amount of value. And that's why all of us are in business, because we want our customers to get the most amount of value when they engage with our organization. And so when I think about responsible AI and automation, there's a key distinguishing criteria. One is automation is like everything is going well in the business, but our our CSAT scores might be a little bit low, or X person, Henry is always kind of not sure what to do with the contracts if they come from certain distributors, or Mary is a bit confused if we get a lead from social media versus someone calling in. So the process itself is a little bit disorganized. And the reason for that is because we ask people to memorize their job. We are not in a world where we can ask people to do that anymore. And so we want to give them systems that are going to say, we will prompt you through the process. Don't worry, Henry. Don't worry, Mary. This is what happens next. Again, societally, we have the highest number of baby boomers that are retiring. There is a brain drain. And when people retired, we were all born from parents. And so this in our country is right now the highest percentage of employed persons taking care of an elderly individual, whether it be a parent, a guardian, an aunt, an uncle. People have a lot on their plate. And then we have later onset childbirth. So we have people, the kids are 8, 9 years old, they're working for you, and they are also taking care of an elderly parent. So it's kind of like a sandwich economy. They're in the middle. We can't ask them to memorize. And that's why we use automation. So they can save that 48 hours a week, and they can then have a return on investment of about 9 clients for you on a monthly basis, if in fact they are in sales, or even that time just in efficiency. AI says, too much work. We are all in this together. You know what? They're like, Liz, I love you. I love working here. There is just too much work. And in our economy, is there money to hire new resources? Often there isn't. Sometimes we're like, we're not ready yet. We want to wait till after the election. We want to wait till after the earnings call. We want to wait, but we need the work now because we have to show value. That's where you plug AI in. That's when it is the most effective for your organization. So our business, we offer a variety of solutions to companies. We have EcoVault, which is a sustainable document management system. We have automated AI-enabled digital cards. We have Mind system integration. But the thing that I want to leave you guys with the most is just really 2 things. You all got into your business because you loved what you were doing. There was a change in your life. Maybe that's why you opened your company. Maybe you spent your whole life planning to have the company you have now, right? Use these tools to propel you to the next level. These big brands, Nike, Lululemon, etc., they didn't get there by doing things manually. Take a chance, take that leap, and do not allow naysayers or negativity to stand in your way. Technology is a way of empowering you, and I implore you to look out there and see how you can take advantage of it. Thank you so much to Alex and Valerie for providing that wonderful interpretation, and I would love to have any questions.
Yeah, Liz, thank you so much for there's always more to learn about like an incredible new technology that in my personal experience can also be a little intimidating. So I'm so grateful for you to join us today and to share your experience and your expertise. For our wonderful guests today, if you have any questions for Liz, please feel free to pop those in the chat. I'll also be sending everyone a prompt to turn their microphones on if you would prefer, or it's more accessible for you to ask questions with your own voice. We'll be turning that on in just a sec. Liz, I have sort of, while we kind of let folks add their questions in and we get those microphones turned on, we also had our registrants submit kind of some early questions and their thoughts on what they'd like to learn most about AI. So I'd like to start by asking you a question that I saw quite a lot in our registration, which is essentially we've learned a lot about what responsible AI looks like, and how those tools work. Um, in a application sense, if I'm a very small business, a micro business, or even a sole proprietorship, what would you say is like the best starting point to start to look into automation, to invest in automation, or to use it to support me with a very, very small team that primarily wants to, as you talked about, like start improving the number of clients I'm talking with, start improving sales, and to help grow my business sustainably and responsibly?
So that's a great question. I'm happy folks are asking that. I'm going to suggest that what you want to do is go with some type of an automation tool, some type of tool that allows you to do multiple things in the one tool. Especially if you're starting out, you want to be able to book your calendar appointments. You want to be able to manage your social media, receive emails, send email campaigns, log your contacts, sort your deals. You want to do as much of that as you can in one tool. When you can achieve that and receive payment, when you can achieve that in one tool, you are yards ahead, because within there you can build automations that grow within your business, and you can basically ride that tool for a long time. So I'm more than happy. We have a tool like that. There are many tools out there. If anybody has any other questions regarding the tools, I'd be more than happy to answer that if you want to send me a direct email. I shared my contact in there.
Thanks so much for that. Well, it looks like we haven't had any questions come in yet. Maybe folks are feeling a little bit shy this afternoon, on a Thursday afternoon. But again, let's touch on some of the topics that folks submitted when they registered as well. Another question that we get is, when it comes to using AI to like develop a small business, to develop a startup. What is do you feel that there is a uh, would you recommend sort of a widely applicable approach? We have several questions that are more specific to particular industries. Is AI right for insurance? Is AI right for goods distribution? Is AI right for professional speakers or for consultants? Maybe a little bit of an extension of our first question, but as we start to get more specific, do you have any recommendations for someone who might want to use AI for like a very specific use case, as opposed to that like uh, um, that broad approach to their entire business?
It really comes down to the question that we want to answer. So all of those businesses, so the commonality between a coaching business, an insurance business, a food production business, is that we all have customers. And so first and foremost, if we're able to have a system that we can put our customer information in, and we can determine if people are buying stuff from us or if they're not, or what they're responding to and what they're not responding to, that is already going to put us leaps and bounds ahead of the competition. So when we look at AI as a tool, there are many systems out there that can be leveraged. And when you use it for ideation in the beginning. If you're not sure, say XYZ company wants to increase the number of customers from its grocery business. What is the best way to go to market in a densely populated area that only has one grocery store? Like, you want to get specific,
Hmm.
and it's that prompt is going to give you a really good understanding, and then match that against what you know in your own business that works. I hope that answers your question, Alex.
Yeah, that answers, I think, and I hope that covers a few questions at once from our registrants as well. I know we are a little bit limited on time today, and it seems like our guests today are here to learn, maybe feeling a little bit shy about posing some questions as well. But of course, for all of our wonderful guests today, please feel free to reach out to Liz at WACADs with her contact information in the chat. Please also feel free to reach out to the IWSCC at info@iwscc.ca if you have any questions about the Inclusive Workplace and Supply Council of Canada and what we do, or if you want to learn about more great events and learning opportunities like this. Please visit WACADS Group, our wonderful guest today, at www.wacadsgroup.com. You'll find that link in the chat already for you as well, to learn more about AI and automation, how to use it for your business responsibly and sustainably. A huge thank you again to you, Liz, for joining us. A big thank you to Maple Communications Canada and to Val, our wonderful interpreter, for supplying our ASL interpretation today. And to Bell and RBC, our accessibility sponsors, for helping us provide accessible and inclusive events for business owners across Canada. Thank you all so much for joining us today. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your small business week and the rest of your fall.
Thank you so
Thanks
much,
very much,
Alex.
everyone. Yeah, and thanks, Liz, for joining us.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.